Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here and welcome back to the final video in the Season 1 Dungeon Guides. We're covering off the Necrotic Wake today, and I'm sorry that it's taken me so long, but we're finally getting it done today. If you are new to these guides, they're aimed at tanks moving into that plus 10 bracket, heading towards your KSM at that plus 15 level. We want to get you comfortable with knowing what kind of pull pattern you're supposed to go with, where your Pridefuls are supposed to spawn and the best way to do them. And also just give you the confidence to lead your group through the dungeon as the tank. It generally falls on your responsibility for routing and things like that. So my aim with these videos was to give you the confidence to be able to go in there without any anxiety and get that done. So I'm going to cover off sort of section by section on MDT, and then we're going to go back to the VOD and watch it live. And we're going to work through the dungeon that way. A couple of things before we get into this video though that I want to cover off with Necrotic Wake is the weapons. There are 4 types of weapons that you can collect through your adventures through Necrotic Wake. 3 of them are worth talking about, and they have a really large impact as to if you have a good time in this dungeon or a bad time. So the 3 weapons we're going to cover off: the Bloody Javelins, the Forgotten Forge Hammers, and the Discharged Anima Orbs. Now I have marked them out on this MDT, which is available in the description below, showing you where everything is. So we'll talk about the Bloody Javelins to start with, guys. So the first Bloody Javelin you're going to locate is here as you come and start the dungeon to the right. The second Bloody Javelin you'll locate is over here at number 6. And then the third Bloody Javelin that you'll locate is over here at number 8. Now the Bloody Javelin allows you to throw a javelin at a mob or a group of mobs, which deals absolutely massive damage to anything between you and the target it hits. It increases the damage they take from all sources by 20%, so it's a really nice damage boost, and you want to make good use of that spear. You can use it on bosses as well. Forgotten Forge Hammers, there's only one that you're going to pick up through this route, and it's over here at number 5. The Forgotten Forge Hammer has a cast time to it, but when it goes off, it will stun the mob it hits and it will deal massive amounts of damage. You can use it on bosses too, though it obviously won't stun the boss. Discharged Anima Orbs. There are 2 throughout this dungeon that you're going to collect. One over here at number 4 and the last one over here at number 9. The Discharged Anima Orb causes you to pulse AoE damage, or the orb pulses out AoE damage for 10 seconds. It deals humongous damage. It interrupts everything that it hits over that 10-second period. And something to know as DKs, and this is thanks to Mender, if you're on orb duty and you're the DK, if you fire the orb off whilst you've got AMS active, it can actually misfire the orb. So if you're on orb duty and you're a DK, don't press the orb if you've got AMS up at the same time. You'll possibly waste your orb. All right. The last thing I want to mention is if you have a Kyrian in your group, there are Goliaths that you can get your steward to interact with, and it will spew out 5 orbs, 1 for each person in your group. You can't collect multiples. That will give you a damage boost. There is one at number 3 that you can activate before the first boss, and there is another one over here at number 7 that you can activate. Well and truly making use of these with a Kyrian in your group can have a huge impact on your run as well, so make sure you're aware of that. Alright guys, so let's cover off the first area, okay? So we're going to start this dungeon off with a triple pull. Now, with all the pulls that I outline here as well, don't feel like you have to do the same pull sizes. If you're not comfortable with it, break it down. You can, the timer in here with weapons is quite lenient, so you can do single pack by pack, you can do doubles and chain in, whatever you're comfortable with, but we're going to start off with a triple pull. Now we've got these blight bags on either side, and then we've got these soldiers, these patchwork soldiers in the middle. The blight bags, they're going to leap around. They can leap while they're stunned and rooted, so be aware of that, and they're going to blow up once they die. And then we've got these patchwork soldiers which just leap around. Same thing, rooted and snares can still leap. So we're going to triple pull this. On fortified, we're going to bust out hero here. On tyrannical, I'd always save hero for Blightborn, the first boss. But if you want to save on fortified hero for the first boss as well to get through there, by all means do that. So we're going to triple pull this and we're going to melt that down. Then we're going to go on to our second pull, which is a Corpse Harvester, a Vanguard, and a Soldier. Now, the Corpse Harvester will just repeatedly throw flesh at someone. You can stun it, but it will just keep doing it. Drain Fluids is the big thing to be aware of here. And with Drain Fluids, you really need to make sure that you are kicking the Drain Fluids. If you're going to sink a stun into stopping Drain Fluids, Don't do it on the ramp up cast. Do it once Drain Fluids is actually channeling on the 4-second cast. Otherwise, it'll just auto recast it straight away. The Vanguard, it's going to have a Seething Rage. So every melee attack, it's going to get a 10% attack speed buff, which just continues to stack. If you've got a soothe it regularly. Otherwise, just focus it down and kill it quite quickly. It'll also be casting a meat shield that you need to interrupt as it puts an absorption around the mob. And you're just going to have another soldier in there that'll be leaping around. Once we've done that, we're going to trail off this way. Make sure you pick up your bloody javelin on the way. We're going to hug the wall and we're going to pick up this pack here. This pack here this pack's a little bit dicey. You're going to have 2 harvesters in this, so 2 drain fluids to monitor. You're also going to have a Vanguard in here, so another meat shield. So 3 kicks that need to be sure that you're getting. Use your stuns here wisely, your leg sweeps, your cap totems, your ring of pieces, your blinding lights, shockwaves. You know where I'm going. Make sure these casts aren't getting off. We don't want to pull anything in the middle here, okay? And you guys, yeah, I'm looking at you. You're banned at pulling any of these gatekeepers, okay? You're banned. You're banned, all right? Forbidden. No gatekeepers. None of this middle stuff. So we're going to pull these, and this is going to give us our first 20% prideful. Now we're going to fight our prideful now. If you had a Kyrian in your group, when the prideful gets low, like 10% area, get your steward out, get them to activate this Goliath, finish up the prideful, collect your orbs. Then we're going to pull Blightborn. Now we're going to pull Blightborn over to this sort of area here. Blightborn has 3 abilities that you need to be aware of pretty much. One is the tank is the crunch, that'll hit you and it hurts. Active mitigation, ability to recover like runic power to death strike, you're pretty set. Heaving Wretch is the main one. Heaving Wretch is going to put a green arrow on someone's head. He's then going to spew on them. He's going to spew out 3 carrion worms, and your group needs to deal with those worms quickly. Now, D&D slow is great. Ring of Peace, stuns, cap totems, whatever you've got, you want to make sure that you nail the carrion worms down quickly. They'll fixate on people. If they get to their fixated target and melee 3 times, they'll explode, and it can wipe your group. So you need to watch out for that. Fetid gas will come after the carrion worms generally, and Blightbone will unleash like a fetid gas circle, which leaves a pool on the ground. You just need to move out of it. We would be using this bloody javelin always on Blightbone on the first boss, and if you've got the Kyrian orbs, it's a really large burst window that you've got on him with the 20% extra damage as well. And if you're sinking hero into it, well, that's further again. So we're going to aim the fetid wretches over in this corner, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to work around this way with the boss, okay? Because with the gas pools and things like that you can't stand in, you run out of real estate. But by going back along this way, we don't endanger pulling anything in the middle here. Once he's dead, we're going to jump up here and we're going to run around here and we're going to grab this. We're not grabbing these 2 here. We're going to grab this pack here. So we've got 2 corpse harvesters in here. So again, drain flesh to kick. We're going to jump down, run around the wall and go up the stairs here and then into our next section. So let's cover this off on the VOD first so you can get a look at what's going on here. So I've got a rogue in my group, so I'm going to get him to pull the left pack with tricks for me, and then I am going to grab the middle and the right pack. So going into the middle here, going to get a mass grip off, and again, these don't do a hell of a lot. Remember, they'll leap around and things like that. The damage going out though isn't anything obscene, so the explosions and things like that, you shouldn't have too many issues. We hero on it because it's fortified, but you could of course save heroism for the boss as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong in doing that. And then we're going to move down into this pack down the bottom here. Now we've got a harvester, a vanguard, and a soldier down here. So remember, with the harvester, that's your drain fluid kick, and the vanguard will do the bone claw, which is a bit of physical damage, but the meat shield's the big thing that you want to be looking for on the vanguard, and make sure you're kicking it. Now, something to be mindful of, you can see this 5 stack here on this gauntlet. That's that seething rage that will continue to stack on the vanguard, which means, you know, it's got a 50% attack speed increase at the moment, and this will just continue to get sort of worse and worse, I suppose, the longer this lives. If you've got a soothe, make sure you're soothing it regularly. Otherwise, just try and kill it. You know, it's not doing an obscene amount of damage, but the longer it lives, obviously, the more damage it does. So you just want to try and kill it sooner than later, basically. Drain fluids, make sure, you're making the most of your toolkit as a DK as well. You've got single grip, asphyxiate, You would have used your mass grip on the pull up there on the opening pull if you did the triple, but otherwise you could always mass grip to another mob to get rid of a drain fluids or a meat shield as well. So we're finishing this pack up. Just to show you, the spear would have been here over that dead Kyrian if you were looking for that, but Rogue already picked it up. Then we're going into this next pack. Now this next pack is a little bit nasty because you've got the 2 harvesters and the Vanguard in it. The 2 harvesters do the drain fluid, so you need to watch out for those kicks, and then there'll be the meat shield from the Vanguard. You need to watch out for those bags that will pat quite close to you. You do not want to pull anything of that middle area, remember. Necrotic Wake is fairly finicky in regards to its percent-wise and where you proc your Pridefuls. The advantage for this route is that we proc Prideful in a really fantastic spot in the Necropolis just prior to the 3rd boss Stitchflesh, and that's what you want to do rather than getting Prideful mid-pack somewhere in that boss gauntlet at 3rd boss where the trash spawns automatically and you've got no way to slow it down. So we're on to our first Prideful here, so we're just going to kill it along the wall. DKs, make sure you're dropping your AMZ, make Prideful as easy as you can. Prideful in higher keys gets harder and harder and harder, especially as you start to have to sink CDs in to kill it, or if it's a weak like Grievous on high keys, if your healer's coming out of packs with not much mana, it gets, Pridefuls get rough. So try and make Prideful as easy as you can by using AMZ, by using your AMS and things like that. If you had a Kyrian in your group at sub 10%, get them to activate this malfunctioning Goliath so you can get the Orbs. We're going to pull Blightborn without any ads around him, remember? And we're going to pull him over to this corner and we're going to bait our carrion worms over near the wall. So you're about to see a Heaving Wretch come out now. You can see it now. It's got a green arrow on source here. He's going to bait that Heaving Wretch over to this wall, and there's going to be the 3 carrion worms that are going to come out. What we're then going to do is drop slows, cap totems, whatever you've got, asphyxiates. We're going to kill those worms. We're not letting them reach anybody, because remember, they reach someone, 3 melee, they explode. There's their, when they die, their big explosion circle there. And then we're just going to move out of the fetid gas, and we're going to bait our next lot up into this corner here. You can see we've thrown a spear into Blightborn as well, which is why he has dropped so low. I mean, Rogue's a monster, but that's why he's doing so much damage and Blightborn's so low. It's because we dropped a spear into him. You do a spear, Prideful, and Hero, and this boss will absolutely melt. Here comes the next Wretch here on Vet. He's up to the wall. We're just going to drop a slow, and we're just going to backpedal this along. Those worms have got no chance of reaching it. Watching out for that fetid gas there, just not standing in the bad puddle, and we're just continuing to move back. So this is the way that you don't go anywhere near the middle of the room. In Pugs, you're a little bit at mercy of where people bait the carrion worms and things like that, but you can see that's done really cleanly along the wall and no issues at all. Then we're going to run up and jump up here. You can jump off this little rock here, or you can get off the rocks there. We're going to pull this pack in the corner. We're not pulling those 2 down the bottom, remember. So we've got 2 harvesters here, so 2 drain fleshes to worry about. So just making sure that we get the interrupts off on them. And you shouldn't have too many issues in this pack. It's pretty straightforward. Just make sure that you get your drain fleshes. They'll continue to do the throw flesh and or drain fluids, sorry, and the soldiers will just leap around. So if you can stay somewhat clumped up, you'll have a bit of an easier time in regards to getting through that. So we're just going to finish that up, and then we're going to mount up and we're going to run up the stairs here and go into our next section. So back to the MDT. All right, so we're up these stairs now. Now we're going to cover off this whole next section here. All right, so we're coming up the stairs and we're going to do another double pull here, okay? We're going to pull this Bone Carver and this Sorcerer into this Necromancer. Now the Necromancer here, these 3 little adds around it, as soon as the Necromancer dies, they disappear. So do not waste time damaging these adds. The only thing with these adds you need to worry about is kicking the Frostbolt Volley on the Brittlebone Mage. As a DK, you can just control Undead on the Mage and take it completely out. Once the Necromancer dies, it sacrifices all of these. You can just release your Brittlebone Mage that you've MC'd, and then it'll just perish straight away. With the Bone Carver, it'll be applying Blown Flay to you, which reduces your max health by 15%. And the Sorcerer will be casting Necrotic Bolts and Shadow Wells. So don't stand in the Shadow Well, it's a bad thing on the ground, and kick the Necrotic Bolts. You'll need an interrupt as soon as you go to pull this in. The Sorcerer will start casting a Necrotic Bolt, interrupt, and drag it in. We're going to have an Anima Orb over here that we're going to pick up, but we're not going to use it. And then we're going to grab this next double pull. Now, these bags here, they'll jump around and explode, nothing to worry about. What's to worry about in this pack, though, is this Marauder. has a Rasping Scream, big 15-yard radius sphere, have a kick assigned to the fear. Do not, as the tank, face this at your group. Gruesome Cleave is a huge frontal physical cleave that will one-shot someone if it hits them, and it's not the tank, so be aware of that. And he'll also put up a Bone Shatter Shield, which is a shield for about 20% of his HP. If you break through the shield, it will deal about 80% damage to the Marauder and generally ends up killing them. So as soon as the shield goes up, if you can melt the shield, it will pretty much delete the Marauder for you. There is a Sorcerer in here, so more Necrotic Bolts and don't stand in the Shadow Wells. And then the other new mob that you'll be dealing with is the Bone Mender. Now the Bone Mender has a Bone Mend. You want to kick this. It will cast very, very regularly. It's a 15% heal. It'll also have a Final Bargain cast, which you cannot interrupt, but you can stun. If this gets off, it's an 80% heal. You do not want this going off. So stuns, disorientates, whatever you can do to stop Final Bargain from going off. So we're going to double pull that and we're going to melt those. And then what we're going to do is Invis Pot or Shroud past this. Now, there are loads of runs on my Twitch VODs where we do not have a rogue. You do not need a rogue for this, okay? You can Invis Pot and it's absolutely fine. If you are in a pug that absolutely is dead set on wanting to play this, I would be using this Anima Orb on this pack here with the named mob Narzuda. This is a really nasty pack in here, okay? So use the orb here if your group is hellbent on playing this. Otherwise, Invis Pot and run through. Pick up the hammer on the way through and make sure you pick up your other bloody javelin, and then you're going to come out on the bridge. We're going to fight the two Marauders. Again, don't face them into your group because they've both got gruesome cleaves. Have a kick assigned for each one for the fear. When the shield goes up, try and break it. You can generally sink this hammer into one of the shields as well to get an easy break on it. Once they die, we're going to trigger our 40% Prideful, and then we're on to going around here to our left pack here, where we're going to get this Necromancer. We've got a bunch of other small mobs around it now. Remember, once the Necromancer dies, all of these dies. So we're just going to kick the Frostbolt Volleys, or MC it, melt the Necromancer, they all explode, release your Control Undead, it dies. Got a Kyrian in your group, make sure you activate the Goliath here, collect your orbs, and then we're going into a big triple pull. Now, don't feel comfortable doing a triple pull, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. We're going to use our Anima Orb on this triple pull here. You could Spirit if you wanted to as well, but we're going to use the Anima Orb and that's it. We're saving the spear for Amarth, and then we're going to take another spear upstairs to the other boss. We're actually going to take 2 spears upstairs, I think. So we are going to pull this triple pull. Now, what you're going to get is you're going to get 2 Bone Carvers. So that's 2 Bone Flays that can go on you. If you get 2, that's a 30% reduction to your max health. We're going to have 2 Sorcerers, so Shadow Wells and Necrotic Bolts. And then we're going to have a Marauder, and a Marauder, as well, which is the Fear and the Cleave. And then we're just having these Shuffling Corpses that do absolutely nothing. So we're going to pull all these in, grip them up, and we're going to use an Orb. They're all going to melt. We're not pulling this monstrosity that packs around. Be sure to not get this monstrosity here. And then we're going to come around here. We're going to pull these 2 Bone Carvers here with the Bone Flays. Grab a next spear. So remember, we've orbed this one. We got 1 spear here and we've got another spear here. So what we're going to do is spear Amarth, and then we're going to take a spear upstairs. I'm pretty sure we spear Amarth. We're going to pull this pack here once we jump over the back, which is another Necromancer pack. Control Undead on your mages, kick your Frostbolt Volleys. You can use CC on these as well, but make sure you are funneling everything into the Necromancer. Once this dies, we're going to get our 60% Prideful. When the Prideful spawns, run up to the top of the stairs here to start the boss RP, and then we're going to kill our Prideful. We're going straight into Amarth then. Once Amarth is dead, don't go up. Come back down here, make sure you collect your Anima Orb. And then we're going to fight this pack down here with the Marauder, the Bone Carver, the Bone Mender, and the Sorcerer before we go up. So really important, Prideful pack, kill Prideful, kill boss, kill this pack, then go back up. Or then go up with the Kyrians. All right, so let's just cover off Amarth really quickly. Amarth, he's really not too bad. It's a little bit hairy on Tyrannical, but if you use a spear and things like that, it can make your life much easier. So he's going to cast Necrotic Bolts. You need to make sure that you kick the Necrotic Bolts. He's going to raise adds via Land of the Dead, and you're going to get warriors, crossbowmen, 2 mages. It's generally warrior, crossbow, and 2 mages. I think there might be 2 warriors in there. But there's always 2 mages. Now, as a DK, you've got grip, you've got mass grip, you've got a ranged interrupt, you've got control undead. You can also trap these, paralysis, blind them. If you leave them CC'd, if you can CC them, leave them CC'd. And what's going to happen is the boss will cast this final harvest, which if there's any minions left upstanding, so if they're still in combat and engaged, it will generally wipe your group if you've got ads left up. However, if they're CC'd and the final harvest goes off, they don't function in that way and the ads just disappear, and then you don't have to worry about them. You did used to be able to control undead. When the final harvest had gone off, released your control undead and it would just perish the mob. Now the mob stays in the fight and you need to kill it. However, there's like 40 seconds between another final harvest, so you've got plenty of time to just cleave it down on the boss. The boss will also go into a frenzy, which you can soothe off, which is a 40% attack speed increase. It'll do a necrotic breath. Just don't stand in the breath and run around behind the boss. And that is pretty much all you need to know. The tortured echoes as well. If there's no ads left up, you can just drop AMZ while this is happening just to reduce the damage going out from that. All right, so let's watch the VOD. So we're running up the stairs here. I'm moving into the Bone Carver and the Sorcerer. I'm going to get a kick on that Sorcerer with the Necrotic Bolt straight away, and I'm taking it into the Necromancer. Now, we had a CC on the Mage. It was actually blinded, but I've got Super Strain on here, and the way Super Strain works in regards to spreading Virulent Plague is it functions off the Outbreak coding, which means it spreads it through Narnia and all the way through the wardrobe, so it splashes out. So now the mage is broken. I'm going to control undead it. But the issue is here, I use control undead while standing in a shadow well because it spawns as I start casting it. I should have moved out. So I'm going to show you what goes wrong here, okay? I go to control undead, shadow wells down. So I'm in a shadow well where you can see on my debuffs there, I'm getting no heals because I'm in a shadow well, and I proc purg. So if I didn't have purgatory, I actually would have died here, which is pretty terrible. So, yeah, just be really, really sensible around that. So funneling all our damage into the Necromancer to try and kill that ASAP, because remember, when the Necromancer dies, everything else dies. So Necromancer's about to die, all the ads are going to die. I'm going to release my Mage that we were kicking the Frostbolt volleys on. It perishes straight away, and then we've got the Sorcerer and the Bone Carver here. So we're just going to finish them up, no issues. If you want to have a look at what an Anima Orb looks like, there it is there. So you just need to run over and click on it. You get your extra action button. It works the same with the hammers and the bloody javelins. Then we're going to pull this pack of bags here, and then the Marauder, the Sorcerer, and the Bone Mender. So with the Marauder, remember positioning that away from your group so that big gruesome cleave doesn't hit anyone. You can see it's fairly chunky in its damage application there. Making sure we kick the Bone Mender's Bone Mends. They will cast quite frequently as well, moving out of any shadow wells. The big thing that we want to watch out for is that final bargain. So there's the rasping fear by the Marauder that Chewie kicked, and you can see there we just actually broke the Marauder's shield, and that's why it just went from 87% to dead. So I'm going to show you this here, okay? So if I can go back and find, you can see that little shield, but if I go back, I'll be able to find where it casts if we just watch it for a little bit. So the Marauder's going to do its Brittlebone shield. I think it's called Brittlebone, or might be Battlebone. Bone Shatter shield. So there it was there. And that's why it's got the absorption on it on the plater there. So we're going to kick that fear. Then we're going to burn through this shield, and it's going to drop from 87.9 to 0. So if you can merc through the shields on those Marauders, it's a fantastic way to save some time. Now, kicking the Bone Men still, final bargain's going to come up, so we get a DB on it, which knocks it straight off the cast, and it doesn't recast. So you've got Asphyxiate, so you've got Grips, you've got Ring of Pieces, Leg Sweeps, Blinding Lights, Storm Bolts. You got the works, guys. Just don't let final bargain get off. Remember, it's an 80% heal. Now we are going to Shroud through here because we've got a Rogue, otherwise we'd invis. There's a hammer here. This is the Forgotten Forge hammer here on the ground, and then there's the Bloody Javelin over here. Make sure somebody in your group gets them. Now you can only have one weapon at a time. So I pick up the hammer here, and I'm going to try and use it on the shield on the Marauder here, but I actually make an error around the way I use it, and I actually basically waste my hammer, and I cost us a little bit of time too, which wasn't very good, but that's why we're making these videos, so you guys can learn about this stuff. So double Marauder pack here. I have a kick assigned for each one of the fears. Bad tank positioning here on my behalf too. I should really be off to the right, sort of over here at the moment, rather than where I'm standing. My group can still move around the back for these cleaves, but I should be making their positioning, far easier than them having to think about it, so to speak. So the gruesome cleaves going off, we're just making sure that we've got a interrupt for each of these spheres. You can see that the shield is up on the Marauder right now. Now they both shield at the same time. Now what I should have done is sunk my hammer into this one straight away. It would have broken the shield, and then we could have focused the last one, broken that shield as well, and we would have killed both Marauders instantly, proccing our 40% prideful. However, what I do is I hold onto my hammer, hold onto it, hold onto it, hold onto it. We break the first one. Then I elect to try and hammer this one. The shield, you've only got 8 seconds to break. I missed the window. As a result, I've stunned the Marauder with the hammer and it's done some damage. But the Marauder's not dead because the shield wore off before we could kill it. If I had have hammered earlier, it would have killed the Marauder. I've also got the Marauder facing a very shitty position here over Prideful where that gruesome cleave was going through. We break the second shield on that Marauder, but fairly messy from me there. So yeah, be aware of that. So we're going to get through this Prideful, and then we're going up to the left here, and we're going straight into this next Necromancer pack. We've got Prideful, so I'm not worrying about CCing anything in this one, and we're just going to absolutely mince this Necromancer down. We're going to kick our Frostbolt volleys and make sure they get off. The single Frostbolts aren't a big issue, but we're just going to absolutely nut this down. If there's a Kyrian in your group, there is a malfunctioning Goliath just behind us here. Make sure that they were activating that so you can get your orbs, because we're going into our triple pull with the orb here next. Watch this monstrosity. Remember, we don't want any of that in our life, so we're just running past that. Now we're going into this triple pull. There's a sorcerer on the outside here that is going to require a kick with the necrotic bolt, and then you're going to grab these corpses and bring this back. Now you're going to take a fair bit of upfront damage here as the tank, so make sure you sink a cooldown into this. Nice little mass grip to group them up. The orb, you can see, absolutely trucks damage here, and you can kill them. There was an interaction with rogue legendaries and the orb, and there's an interaction with hunters with Corian as a soulbind tree for Night Fae as well. You don't need it though. Like, we've done the same pull over and over and over with Windwalkers and things like that, and it's fine. It's all the orb. So then there's a bloody Javelin there that you will pick up on the way through here. So again, don't miss that one. You've got 2 bone carvers here with the bone flays. You're not going to have any issues in getting these guys down. So just mince them, watch the bone carver, but you'd be lucky to probably end up with 2 stacks of this by the time these die, especially if you're only pulling 2. So get them down, watch the monstrosity again. You can see it's walking through here. That monstrosity is a huge waste of time, so you always want to avoid it. And then we're just going to jump over the back here. We're going to pull the next Necromancer pack now. Weapons wise, guys, use weapons wherever you feel roadblocks are, okay? So you might use a spear on a Marth, and then you might save your last spear for the last boss, or you may save, you might not spear a Marth. You might use the spear on Stitchfest, and then Stitchfest, and the last boss, or whatever. Just my point being is use it where you need to. Now you can see we had a CC on that mage out there. Super Strain broke it once again though. So now I've MC'd one of the mages, we interrupt the other one in, and we just have to sort of nut it down now. The biggest thing though, again, is have all your damage sinking into that Necromancer. Kick the Frostbolt volleys, because ads will continue to spawn as the Necromancer is alive, so you need to make sure you're killing that. And then we're going to proc our Prideful. Now Chewie's going to run up the stairs, and he's going to start the boss RP, because we want to kill the Prideful, and then we want to go straight into the boss rather than waiting for any RP. So we've already got the boss set to go. We've got our full minute of Prideful, and now we are running in to go ham on Amarth. Now Amarth here, kicking our necrotic bolts. With the ads, remember that you can see them when they come up from Land of the Dead. So if you've got paralysis and traps and things like that, blind, leave them CC'd and don't worry about them. Otherwise, bring them in. Taunting the warrior, kick the 2 mages, and then you can grip the crossbowman in. Otherwise, I'm just controlling undead there on one of the mages to make life easy, and then I'll just release it after the final harvest has gone off, and then we'll just cleave it down on the boss. But if you leave them CC'd, otherwise you can just leave them out there. Dodging the necrotic breath here. I'm pretty sure we chunked a spear into a Marth as well, just to get through him a little bit quicker. Final harvest coming off. There's no ads active, so we don't take any damage from that. I'm then going to release my mage here, kick the Frostbolt volleys or stun them, and then we're just going to cleave the mage down on the boss here. I should have had the boss selected here. This is a waste of damage by me there having it selected. Land of the Dead. Now, this is bad by me, okay? What I should have done here, I could have dragged the boss back into this warrior double mage here and then gripped the single crossbowman into this pack here, which is over here. Instead, I bring one of the mages in and as a result have to then waste a mass grip, and then the crossbowman's still out there. So really just be aware of your positioning, because that was really wasteful by me then. And then I just end up control undeading the crossbowman because he's out there for so long, and then we don't have to worry about using any damage on it for the final harvest. But yeah, think about your positioning, because that was quite poor by me and inefficient. So final harvest goes off, he's dead. I release my crossbowman. When a Marth dies, the crossbowman dies as well. Not a problem. We've got our other orb over there behind the monstrosity there. Then we're going to run down and we're going to get into this next pack here. We're watching where that monstrosity is because we don't want that at all. And then we're just going to get through this pack. Bone Mender again, making sure we kick the Bone Mends. Watch your gruesome cleave positioning with the Bone Mender as well. The final harvest, final bargain, I think it is. It actually goes off in this pack and it's a huge waste of time. So we kill the Marauder's shield, super duper, saving ourselves time. Now, I asphyxiated then and we used our kidney. Final bargain's about to go off. We have no stun available for this. It's about to go from 30% back to 100%. As a result, you know, we waste a lot of time having to kill it. Now, it's not bad because it dies fairly quick, but it's awkward. So don't let it go off. Then we're going to click on our winged champions here and we're going all the way up to the top here to take on this next area. So back to MDT. This is what our pull pattern looks like upstairs. We're going to grab the parts and this top left corner pack here, or this bottom left corner pack, depends how you want to look at it. So we're grabbing the parts and this pack here, okay? Corpse collector, drain fluid again, make sure you kick. The spare parts don't do anything and the soldiers are just going to leap around. So kill this pack here. Next, what we're going to do with our orb is this pat here will do a giant horseshoe around the room. We're going to wait for it to get into this position and we are going to double pull this pack with this pack and orbit and melt it down. Now, the reason I like doing this pack and this pack together is if you do this pack and this pack, which you can do, the issue becomes that you've got two Stitchworks in it. The Stitchworks will put Tenderize on you, which causes your physical damage taken to be increased by 12% and it stacks. If you've got two Stitchworks, you're getting two Tenderizers or Tenderize from each of them, which means that you can end up with 4 to 5 stacks of Tenderize really quickly. They follow it up with Mutilate, which is a really heavy physical damage ability, which if you've got many stacks of Tenderize, will soon flatten you into a pancake. So generally, I like pulling these two in the corner. You do not have to do that. You can single pull the pad if you like and then pull the corner. It's going to give you your 80% prideful when you do that, but we double it with the orb here. You're going to have a corpse collector in there, again, drain fluids. You're also going to have a flesh crafter, so we will do repair flesh you need to kick. It'll also throw a cleaver, which you want to put mobs between you and the throw cleaver, so the throw cleaver isn't hitting you directly, which can kill you. The throw cleaver, if it goes into a mob, will actually damage the mob, which is awesome. The loyal creation will do this spine crush, which is a massive circle that you don't want to stand in, and that is about it. Once that's been done, we get our 80% prideful, and then we're going into our corner pack here. Now, if you've got any cooldowns left up, if the key's a little lower, or if you're really confident in what you're doing, you can double pull these with prideful. However, we just do this single with prideful. Again, you've got your Tenderize, your Mutilate to worry about, and then we just go up and we finish this last pack up the top here. Now, the last pack up the top, Flesh Crafter again, so repair flesh and the cleaver. And then you've also got the Loyal Guardian with the Loyal Creation, with the Spine Crush, don't stand in it. Once that happens, we're going to get the boss portals for the Trash RP kind of event or gauntlet for the boss. So these two assistants are going to come out. The assistants will have throw cleavers as well. You want to point these throw cleavers at the assistants. If a throw cleaver is going to hit one of your party members, as the tank, make sure you intercept it. Otherwise, it will kill your party members, and I'll give you a fantastic example of that. Then we're going to trigger these corner packs once these two are dead. It's always the left one that comes first. So we're going to kill that pack. Gore Grind has a Tenderize, a Mutilate as well, so same principle as the Stitch works. It'll also do this Gut Slice, which is a frontal. Just don't stand in the frontal. It's fixed where it goes, so just move out of it. And then we're going to grab this right pack with Rot Spew. Once this one dies, it automatically activates. Rot Spew has a Spew Disease, don't stand in the Poison Cloud, and a Mutilate as well. And with this is your 100% Prideful. Now, don't worry about killing it evenly, because what happens is if you take Rot Spew out, you still don't trigger Prideful. So these 3 can die whenever. And then when Rot Spew dies, you'll end up getting your... I don't know what I just added that into. You'll end up getting your 100% Prideful here. Kill your Prideful up the back here, and then Stitch Work will spawn, and then you're going straight into Stitch Work with your Prideful. Now, there'll be a loyal Stitch Fest creation here that has a meat hook. You want to tank the creation around here, just off the middle. He's going to meat hook somebody in your group, and they're going to line it up with Stitch Work. Stitch Work is going to get gripped down off the platform, and then you are going to throw a spear or use a hammer if you've been saving it into Stitch Work. We've got Prideful, so we never hero. We save hero for the last boss, but you're going to melt Stitch Flesh as fast as you can. Now, Stitch Flesh will have, he'll be throwing this Embalming Ichor, so don't stand in the bad pools. He'll also do this Morbid Fixation, where he will target someone, he will fixate on them, and he will run after them. If you can line a meat hook up while Stitch Work or Stitch Flesh is down, meat hook him and it will grip him off the Morbid Fixation, allowing you just easier DPS time because you don't have to chase him and move. So... that's pretty much it for that one. Then we take the portal up to the top for the last boss, Nelthor. Now, Nelthor is an interesting one, okay? And this is why. Icy Shard, right? If I was to say to you, I'm attacking you with Icy Shards, what would you think? You'd think I am attacking you with Magical Force. It's not, though. Icy Shard is physical damage, and I understand it, because if I had a giant chunk of ice and I threw it into your face, it would hurt. It would be like getting hit with a brick. But it's not a brick, it's ice. Therefore, it comes from the school of frost. Therefore, it's magic, but it's not. So, this hits pretty hard. You can't parry it, you can't dodge it, you just take it to the face and it hurts. The Icebound Aegis here, pop AMZ down here, because every time you hit it, it reflects damage at you. And you can also use AMS when you're out of that as well, but good for your melee to just sink AMZ over the top, so it reduces the damage coming out. Comet Storm. Do not be the guy with Comet Storm that closes your eyes, puts your hand out, and just goes, "Ah!" Stutter step. Nice and easy. Small circles, small patterns. Don't streak across the playing field, okay? And Dark Exile will send someone down to do a gauntlet, but I'm a tank and I don't know how that works. So, let's go to the VOD. Flown up to the top of Necropolis here, I'm going to grab the parts here, and then I'm going to take him into this top pack over here. Now, remember, with the parts, they don't really do anything. They can be a little bit annoying to clump up. We've got a collector in here, so we've got to drain fluids that we need to make sure that we are kicking or stunning or locking down. And then it's just going to repeatedly spam Throw Flesh. Now, with the Throw Flesh, you can lock it down absolutely to try and avoid some damage going out as much as you can, because it will just continue to spam it. But get that down. You shouldn't have too many issues with this pack. Now, what we're doing, remember, is we're going to orb the pat that's doing its horseshoe pat with the left pack over here as well. So it's at the other side at the moment, over there in the top of the screen. So we're just waiting for it to get around. So the reason these are dying so slow is that everybody is waiting to sink their cooldowns into this next pack, because there's going to be a lot of damage in it. And this is an absolute prime place to save a bunch of time if you're comfortable in doing this pull. If you're not, pull the pat separately and then pull the corner pack, or, you know, whichever way you want to do it in, and then you'll proc your 80% Prideful out of that. We're going to double it up here because it's going to be a huge time saver for us. You're taking a ton of damage off the bat. You can see how much damage the orb is corking out here. Everything's getting interrupted. Now, what I want to show you though, and I went back a little bit too far, sorry. What I want to show you is the throw cleaver, okay, that you want to make one of the mobs be a human shield for you for, okay? So there's going to be a red arrow that springs out of this pack. There it is right there. You want to have that going through the mobs so it doesn't hit you, it hits the mobs and deals damage. You're also going to be getting the Tenderize and the Mutilates through this. That's not going to be interrupted. And the Spine Crush is going to be going off, which is this big circle here. Make sure you don't stand in it. I actually was, and for some reason thought the orb would have interrupted it, but it doesn't. And Repair Flesh. Make sure you get a kick on that, a single grip, something to get to make sure that that is not repairing, because obviously it extends the pull if it's healing. So you can see I'm taking quite a bit of damage here. I got 24% increased physical damage from all sources coming into me here, which is why I was getting trucked so hard. Ended up procking Purg there as well. So it is a dicey pack, but massive time save coming out of that. We get our 80% Prideful, so we're just going to nut through this Prideful really quickly, and then we're going into our next bottom pack. Now, if you're confident, you can double pull this. However, I have no Dancing Rune Weapon, no Vampiric Blood, no Icebound Fortitude, and basically zero confidence. So I don't bother double pulling it. If you've got people urging you to double pull, but you have no cooldowns, don't do it. You're much better off, being the not, I don't want to say the sensible one, because sometimes you have to risk it for biscuit, but you're far better off staying alive than over pulling with no cooldowns and dying. Pull around your cooldowns. That's a huge thing for tanking. So we kill this Stitch Work here, and then we're just going to kill the back two here. So the Creation will do the Spine Crash, don't stand in it. The Crafter will do the Throw Cleaver there, so you just want to make sure that goes into a mob, and then we're just going to skip on through it. So then we get the Boss RP, the Boss Gauntlet, sorry. These two assistants will come out. You want to make sure that those Throw Cleavers are going into one another. Bad me as the tank here. On that far one, all I did for threat was Death Grip it. Source was hitting it, and as a result, he gets absolutely clapped because I didn't have enough aggro on it. So as the tank, it probably pays to not assume everyone's going to just hit the same one. You need to go over and get a couple of swings on it to generate more threat than just a taunt. Throw Cleavers here, making sure they hit each other. So the Throw Cleaver going into the far one there deals about 20% damage, so it's a fairly easy way to chunk them down quickly. If there is no target for a human shield in regards to the Throw Cleaver, as the tank, make sure you intercept it, okay? So this Throw Cleaver is going to finish up this last one that's on fixation. Kick the Drain Fluids, and now I'm going to show you an example in 10% or so of what I mean about intercepting the Throw Cleaver for your group, because it's pretty bad, but it's good that you guys can see this because hopefully you won't make the same mistake that I did. Throw Cleaver's coming out. It's on source, okay? He is at 100% HP. He is living his fullest life of 100%. I am here. I should be in this red arrow. Left, right, good night. So yeah, intercept the cleave, be the team player. You can't get a res off once this gauntlet has started either. It will put you in combat, so you either need to waste a combat res or they need to release and fly back up. So just be aware of that. Gore Grind is going to tenderize, mutilate, and do the gut slice, which is that frontal. So just watch out on this one. Generally, a group's not going to have a lot of cooldowns as they'll be recycling them for the boss. So this pack will generally die fairly slow. I end up with 4 stacks of tenderize on here. And I'll show you a little way that you can get out of this. So I got 24% increased physical damage at the moment. There's that gut slice, just making sure you're not getting hit by that frontal. He is locked in position when he does that as well. So here's a mutilate at 36%. I'm about to cop another tenderize to go to 4 stacks, which is going to put me on 48%. Now, with the tenderize, it acts as a fervent strike, same as mutilate, which means if you're not in melee range, it'll hit the next closest target in melee range. Tenderize hitting a closest melee range will generally not kill them, and it'll just apply the debuff to them. Mutilate, on the other hand, will generally murk someone. So what you can do is when you take this next mutilate, so I've taken one at 48%, when the gut slice comes up, I am going to run away to drop my tenderize so I don't get another one. So gut slice has come up, I'm running away to drop this tenderize here. I'm then going to Door of Shadows away because it doesn't matter if the tenderize hits someone and applies the debuff, and I'm just going to kite him away. So you've got options like that. Don't feel like if you get to 5 stacks of tenderize, you've just got to grit your teeth and bear it type of deal, because you'll generally die, especially at 5, unless you've got some huge external. Rot Spew, just don't stand in the poison spew puddles. It's fairly straightforward in that regard. He'll be mutilating you as well. The leftovers deal a fair bit of damage, but just watching out for the spew disease and not standing in the green pools. That's pretty much it. You shouldn't have too many issues. Spawn you 100% prideful, fight it up the back of the room so there's no fear of pulling the boss, and then we're going straight into Stitch Flesh here now. Stitch Flesh, you want to be near the middle, as I said, just sort of in front of this star here, and what you're going to do is when the meat hook comes up, your group is going to run and point it at Stitch Flesh here. He's going to be throwing out those embalming ichors. Don't stand in the green pools. Meat hook's going to come down. Stitch Flesh gets gripped down, and then what we're going to do is absolutely nuke Stitch Flesh. So We end up throwing a spear into him in a second, so we're just waiting, I think, for the meat hook to come out. It is on Rogue out here. He has pointed that off. He's throwing the spear now. Boom, knocks about 40% HP off him. Morbid Fixation. If you've got a meat hook going out, absolutely throw the meat hook into the Stitch Flesh when he is fixating. It'll grip him up that and cancel it. But we have no issues with just Prideful and one spear in knocking Stitch Flesh down in one phase. This means that for the final boss, we've got Heroism and one spear, which makes our life slightly easier, which is generally what we like doing in this dungeon. So moving up to the final boss now, the big thing in regards to saving hero and a weapon for this is you've just used all of your cooldowns generally on Stitch Flesh to burn him in one phase. So then you go straight back to back into another boss and you've got nothing. Now remember, Icy Shards is physical damage because stupid. So I don't know, is it stupid? I don't know. No, I refuse to be stupid. It's stupid. Here's the barrier. So here's Aegis here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my AMZ down on this, and it's just going to mean that my 3 melee, including myself, can stand in there and not take as much splash damage from the barrier. So be aware of that. Also make sure that you are using your AMS outside of that. Another thing with Comet Storm, guys, is if you've got just one other melee with you, you can generally stand at like 6 and 12 on a clock face and just rotate around the boss. If you've got 3 melee, generally what you would have to do is kind of like a Dark Recital on Council. The 3 of you would have to stack up and then move like clockwise around the boss, which is really awkward. So just to go over all of that stuff again, you can see I'm dropping AMZ there again. So make sure that you use, there's a fair bit of damage that goes out in this fight and it lasts for a while. So just make sure you're aware of that and try and coordinate your Comet Storms. However, Comet Storm can be a little bit tricky, especially if you don't have anything pre-planned. So as the tank, if you've got 2 melee and nothing really planned, sometimes it can help to just get out as the tank and let your melee be able to stay in and keep uptime on it. And you can just kind of take your trail off to the corner, but don't put your hands out, close your eyes and run, remember. People getting taken down to do the gauntlet. And that's pretty much it on this boss, guys. That is pretty much it. So thank you all so much for sticking with me through these guides. It has been a marathon. It's been something that I've really enjoyed doing, and the feedback I've got from it has been really awesome too in regards to people completing dungeons and feeling far less anxious about it. Huge thanks to Tank Notes, Panthea and Mandel for all the work that they've put in behind the scenes as well. The DK resources on Icy Veins and Wowhead updated by Mandel has a lot of tips about this in a written format. And is really helpful, and he puts in a ton of work behind the scenes for the DK community in that regard. And to all of you guys for helping me, supporting me, and just giving me the encouragement to make these guides. It's been absolutely awesome, and I appreciate you all so very much. So yeah, thank you all so much, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, come say hi on Twitch, come find me in the Discord, and I will see you all next time. See you, fam.